Today I am going to start chapter 7. This chapter is devoted to the solution of partial differential equation using integral transform. The study of integral transform has been started in 19th century when Laplace, Fourier discovered Laplace transform, Fourier integral transform, etc. The integral transform is very easy and effective method. This method is used to find solution of differential equation and integral equation. In this chapter, our motivation is to find solution of differential equation, particularly partial differential equation using integral transform. We shall use most commonly used integral transform, namely Laplace transform, Fourier integral transform, Mellin transform and Hankel transform to find solution of partial differential equation. The entire chapter is divided into 5 modules. In module 1, we shall define integral transform, and in the same module we shall define inverse integral transform. In module 2, we shall show some application of Laplace transform to find solution of a differential equation. In module 3, we shall give application of Fourier integral transform. In module 4, we shall give application of Mellin transform and Hankel transform, and lastly in module 5, we shall discuss the application of finite integral transform to find solution of a partial differential equation. So, first of all, I am going to start module 1 of this chapter. For that, we need to go to the slide presentation. We define integral transform of a function f(x) by the integral equation f bar p equals to integration a to b f(x) k px dx, where a and b, that means the limits of this integration, may be finite or infinite. The function k, which is function of the variable p and x, is known as the kernel of this transformation. If a and b are both finite, f bar p is termed as finite transform of the function f(x). Now, depending on the expression for the kernel k and the limits of the values a and b, there are different types of integral transform. First, I am defining Laplace transform. The Laplace transform of the function f(x) is defined as f bar p equals to integration 0 to infinity f(x) e to the power minus px dx. So, in Laplace transformation, the value of a is finite 0 and value of b is infinity, and kernel is e to the power minus px. It is to be mentioned that the Laplace transform of the function f(x) exists if f(x) is continuous or piecewise continuous in every finite interval within 0 infinity, and f(x) is of exponential order e to the power ax, then the integral 2 exists for real p greater than a. Now, I am going to define Fourier integral transform, which is given by equation number 3. So, it is defined as f bar p equals to integration minus infinity to plus infinity f(x) e to the power I px dx. So, in this case, kernel k is e to the power I px, and Fourier transform of a function f(x) exists if f(x) satisfies the conditions which are written here. f(x) must satisfy Dirichlet's condition in minus infinity to plus infinity. It is to be mentioned that Dirichlet condition means f(x) should satisfy the two conditions. One of them is f(x) must have finite number of finite discontinuity within any finite interval within minus infinity to plus infinity, and f(x) must have finite number of maxima or minima within a finite interval. And the next and second condition to f(x) is f(x) must be absolutely integrable within the interval minus infinity to plus infinity. So, if f(x) satisfies these two conditions, Dirichlet conditions and absolute integrability condition, then the Fourier transform of f(x) exists. In the similar way, we can define Fourier sine or cosine transform. The transformation is given in equation number 4. The Fourier sine transformation is given by integration 0 to infinity f(x) into sine px dx, whereas Fourier cosine transformation is given by integration 0 to infinity f(x) cos px dx. There is another popular transformation which is known as Hankel transformation, where it is defined as f bar p equals to integration 0 to infinity f(x) into x into Jn px dx, where Jn px is the Bessel function of first kind and of order n, where n is greater than minus half. It is to be noted that the Hankel transformation of a function f(x) exists if it satisfies the condition number 1, if r equals to order of r to the power minus k as r going to infinity, where k is greater than 3/2, and f dash star is piecewise continuous over each bounded subinterval of 0 infinity. There is another popular transformation which is known as Mellin transformation, where it is defined as f bar p is equal to integration 0 to infinity f(x) x to the power p minus 1 dx. For this transformation, f(x) must be continuous or piecewise continuous in any finite interval in 0 infinity. In the last section, we have defined 4 different types of integral transformations. They are Laplace transform, Fourier transform, Hankel transform and Mellin transform. In practice, we use integral transform to find solution of a differential equation. Suppose we have a differential equation in which u is our dependent variable and t is one of the independent variable. Using integral transform, we transform one of the independent variable, say the t variable, to another variable, let the transform variable is p, and the transform dependent variable is u bar. So, after integral transformation, we get an equation for u bar. Sometimes it is easy to find the solution for u bar compared to the solution for u. So, after getting the equation for u bar, we try to solve to find the value of u bar as function of p. After getting u bar as function of p, we need to apply inverse integral transform to find the value of u as function of t. That is why it is important to know the inverse integral transform together with integral transform. Now, in this section, we are going to discuss about inverse integral transform in our slide presentation. The inverse Laplace transform is defined as f(x) equals to 1 divided by 2 pi I integration over gamma minus I infinity to gamma plus I infinity f bar p into e to the power px dp, and f(x) equals to 0 for x less than 0. So, if you observe the integral, this is a contour integral and f bar p is a complex valued function in general. The value of the integral depends on the nature of the function f bar p. F bar p may be a single valued function or it may have any branch point. If it is a single valued function, it may have finite number of poles or infinite number of poles. To evaluate this integral, we first consider a line in complex p plane such that real p is equal to gamma. The line is represented by L in the diagram, and this line is called Bromwich contour. Generally, this line is closed by an arc of a circle which is represented by gamma in the figure. Now, to evaluate this integral, we consider r tends to infinity and we draw the line capital R in such a way that all the poles of the function f bar p lies on the left of the line, and it can be shown that the value of the integral over the circular arc gamma as capital R tends to infinity is 0. Therefore, the value of the integral which is written in equation number 7 is equals to 1 divided by 2 pi I integration gamma minus I infinity to gamma plus I infinity f bar p to the power px dp. It is evaluated along the line capital L. If the function f bar p has some branch point, then the contour is to be modified in some different way. So, in either case, if it is a single valued function or it has some branch point, the value of the integral is to be evaluated using Cauchy's residue theorem, which says that the value of the integral 1 divided by 2 pi I integration f p e to the power px dp is equal to sum of the residues of the pole of the function f bar p. Now, I am taking one example where we shall show that we shall first use Laplace transform to transform the function f(x) to the function f bar p, then we shall use inverse Laplace transform to get back the original function f(x), that means e to the power minus x. So, we are taking for example here the function e to the power minus x. The Laplace transform of this function by definition is f bar p equals to integration 0 to infinity e to the power minus x e to the power minus px dx. So, this is integration 0 to infinity e to the power minus p plus 1 x dx. So, after integration it gives 1 divided by p plus 1, and this is valid for real p greater than minus 1. Now, if we look back to the inverse Laplace transform formula, then it gives f(x) is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi I integration gamma minus I infinity to gamma plus I infinity 1 divided by p plus 1 e to the power px dp. Then if we see the integrand in this integral, there is a pole of the function at the point p is equal to minus 1. So, value of the integral is equal to residue of at the pole p is equal to minus 1, and we can calculate the residue. Its value becomes e to the power minus x. So, applying inverse Laplace transform, we are getting back our original function e to the power minus x. Now, this is definition of inverse Fourier transform. It is defined as f(x) equals to 1 divided by 2 pi integration minus infinity to plus infinity f bar p e to the power minus I x p dp. Now, we are taking again one example where we are using Fourier transform and then again inverse Fourier transform, and we shall show that we will get the original function. So, for that we take the function e to the power minus mod x. The Fourier transform of this function is f bar equals to integration 0 to infinity e to the power minus 1 minus I p x dx plus integration minus infinity to 0 e to the power 1 plus I p into x dx. The first integral gives 1 divided by 1 minus I p, and the value of the second integral is 1 divided by 1 plus I p. So, after simplification, the expression for f bar p becomes 2 divided by 1 plus p square. Now, the inverse formula or the inverse Fourier transform of this f bar p is f(x) equals to 1 by pi integration minus infinity to plus infinity e to the power I x p by 1 plus p square dp. So, if we evaluate that integral, we will get its value as e to the power minus x for x greater than 0, and its value is equals to e to the power x for x less than 0. So, combining these two results, we can say that f(x) equals to e to the power minus mod x. Inverse formula for Fourier sine and cosine transform are defined as inverse Fourier sine transform is equal to 2 by pi integration 0 to infinity f bar p sine x p dp, and inverse Fourier cosine transform is defined as f(x) equals to 2 by pi integration 0 to infinity f bar p cos x p dp. If f(x) equals to minus x, then its sine transform is integration 0 to infinity e to the power minus x into sine p x dx. So, after integration we get its value is equal to p divided by 1 plus p square. If you take the cosine transform of the same function e to the power minus x, we obtain integration 0 to infinity e to the power minus x cos p x dx is equals to 1 divided by 1 plus p square. So, f bar p equals to p divided by 1 plus p square. This is the sine transform of the given function e to the power minus x. Now, if we apply inverse sine function of this function, then value of f(x) is equals to 2 by pi integration 0 to infinity p divided by 1 plus p square sine x p dp, and its value is e to the power minus x. So, you can see that it is possible to get back the original function from using the inverse sine transformation. In the similar way, it is also possible to find the original function if we apply the inverse cosine transformation. So, to establish that, now we are taking the transform variable f bar p as 1 by 1 plus p square. So, this is nothing but cosine transformation of the function e to the power minus x. Now, we are applying inverse cosine transformation to this function. So, f x is equals to 2 by pi integration 0 to infinity 1 by 1 plus p square cos p x dx. So, after integration its value is e to the power minus x. So, for both sine transformation and cosine transformation and then applying inverse of sine transformation and inverse of cosine transformation, it is possible to get back the original function. Now, I am going to define inverse Hankel transformation. The inverse Hankel transformation is defined in equation number 11, where f bar p is the transformed function and Jn is the Bessel function of first kind and of order n. Now, we consider the function f x as 1 by x. Then the Hankel transformation of this f x is given by f bar p is equals to integration 0 to infinity f x x Jn p x into dx, and after integration we get its value is 1 by p. Now, if we apply inverse Hankel transformation to 1 by p, we get f x equals to integration 0 to infinity 1 by p into p Jn x p dx, and after integration we are getting our original function 1 by x. This is inverse Mellin transformation. It is defined as f x equals to 1 divided by 2 pi I integration gamma minus I infinity gamma plus I infinity f bar p x to the power minus p dp for x greater than 0. f x, for this transformation we are using the function e to the power minus x, and the Mellin transformation of e to the power minus x is f bar p equals to integration 0 to infinity e to the power minus x x to the power x minus p minus 1 dx. This is the famous gamma function. So, its value is gamma p. Now, we are using inverse Mellin transformation to get the value of f x, and so value of f x is 1 divided by 2 pi I integration gamma minus I infinity to gamma plus I infinity gamma p x to the power minus p dp, and here we are using the formula gamma p into gamma 1 minus p equals to pi divided by sine pi p, and using that formula we can get back the function f x as e to the power minus x. Now, I am showing some important results on integral transform. So, these are the results regarding Laplace transform. The first one you can see, this gives the Laplace transform of the nth order derivative of a function f. So, its value is equals to p to the power n f bar p minus p to the power n minus 1 f 0 minus p to the power n minus 2 f dash 0 dot dot minus f n minus 1 0, where f bar p denotes the Laplace transform of the function f x. The second result, it shows the linear property of Laplace transform. This integral transform is linear. So, Laplace transform of C1 F1 plus C2 F2 plus Cn Fn equals to C1 F1p plus C2 F2p plus Cn Fnp, where F1 bar, F2 bar dot dot Fn bar are the Laplace transforms of f1, f2, fn respectively. The third result, this is called the scaling property, which shows that Laplace transform of function of alpha x equals to 1 by alpha f bar f p by alpha. And the fourth one, this is the shifting property. So, Laplace transform of e to the power minus lambda x f x is equals to f bar lambda plus p. And the next property which shows that Laplace transform of f x minus x dash into h x minus x dash is equals to e to the power minus p x dash into f bar p, where h x is the Heaviside function. And the next result, which is known as convolution theorem or convolution property, which shows that if f1p is the Laplace transform of the function f1 and f2p is the Laplace transform of the function f2, then f1 into f2, f1 bar into f2 bar is equal to Laplace transform of the function phi x, where phi x is given by integration 0 to x f1 x dash into f2 x minus x dash dx dash, or it may be written in this way 0 to x f1 x minus x dash into f2 x dash dx dash. And the last result is shows the Laplace transform of an integral. So, if phi x is the function integration 0 to x f x dash dx dash, then Laplace transform of phi x is equal to 1 by p f bar p. And this is the table of some Laplace transform, and all these results can be derived easily. So, that table is shown here. You can verify this result using the definition of Laplace transform. And similarly, we can show some properties of Fourier transform. So, if f denotes the complex Fourier transform of the function small f, then the Fourier transform of the nth derivative of the function f is given by minus I p to the power n f bar p, where f bar p is the complex Fourier transform of the function small f x. And the second result, it shows the linear property of Fourier transform. And the third result, this is the shifting property, Fourier transform of f x minus a equals to e to the power I a p into f bar p. And the fourth property, it gives the mth order derivative of f p is equals to Fourier transform of I x to the power m into f x. And these are the some results of Fourier transform. So, using the definition of Fourier transform, we can establish this result easily. Thus, in module 1 of chapter 7, we have defined integral transform. We have also defined inverse integral transform. We defined 4 different type of integral transforms. Those are Laplace transform, Fourier transform, Mellin transform and Hankel transform. We illustrate integral transform taking some examples. Taking some function, we applied integral transform, then we applied inverse integral transform, and we showed that it is possible to get back the original function. Now we end module 1 of chapter 7.